Awesome. Well, this is great. Just click the record button so we can capture all this. So
Yeah,
today
yeah.
we have Ray Digmi Navarrette. Cool guy, former minor league baseball player, Pirates, Astros, Mets farm system. Played with
Yeah.
Jacob DeGrom, if I'm not mistaken, and
I
some of those
did.
guys.
I didn't play with Jacob actually.
Ah.
Unfortunately, I'm a little older than him, but I had the opportunity of meeting him quite a few times, and he has been seen,
Mm,
wearing some of our gear in the past, and uh, really, really awesome guy. Super nice. He treated myself and the rest of our Digmi team really, really awesome for a guy who has had so much success. So I never did play with Jacob, but some of my former teammates who were on the Mets at that time, of course, were teammates with him, and that's how we got the connection. So
I
it's kind
love
of
it.
cool how the baseball world always it seems to just grow your relationship. Sometimes you don't have to play with someone or be on the same team or play in the same league. Over the course of playing in your career, you meet guys that play as well too, and then they pass along their contacts as well to you too.
That is awesome. Yeah, I mean
Yeah,
it's real relationships, right? It's
yeah,
networking. It's networking, but just in the context of hey, we all did this thing that's pretty incredible.
yeah,
We all played professional baseball. There's only so many people on planet Earth can say that. You might know more of them than most people, only because you
yes,
did it for a very long time. But I just think it's great. And Ray is also the founder and creative director of Digme, which is a
yes,
pretty sweet fashion line. Which is
yeah.
actually we are probably about 1.5 miles apart from each other right now.
Really?
Yeah, man. I've told
Get
you
out
this
of here.
multiple times. I've tried to come down to the store. I don't even know how many times. You just don't answer my emails, man.
Oh my God! Listen,
Oh,
you're not the only one who ever gets on my case about that. Oh,
you're
that's
good,
right,
man.
dude.
Yeah,
Whereabouts are you again?
I'm right in Manville. You're in Somerville.
Oh, that's right. You're
Mm-hmm.
absolute. Well,
Yep.
we're gonna have to get together
We'll f-
sometime soon in person.
we'll figure it out one of these days. I
Yeah,
actually saw you posted something up today, and I always look in the background because I want to see where you are. And yeah, you were just right
yeah,
on Main Street, Somerville. It looked
yeah,
great.
yeah,
Looked
yeah.
sunshiny. So I'm sure that picture was from a little while ago because you guys were in t-shirts, and I don't
Yes.
know. It's like 45 degrees
Yeah,
out right
yeah.
now, but
It was definitely from last year. We've done a lot of really cool photo shoots in Somerville. As you know, it's an incredible town, a very lively and growing town. And it's great for photo shoots. But you're going to see a bunch of like old photos being posted today because today is National Hat Day. Um,
ah.
since our one of our catchphrases is "Tip your cap," and a big part of our brand is our hat collection. We're going to showcase some of our best pictures of some of our people wearing our hats today.
I love it, man. You got some
Yeah,
cool stuff, and I'm very excited to dig into it. But the first,
yeah,
after this little, pleasantry section, which is always my favorite part, I just love shooting the shit.
yeah.
Um, where does your love of sports come from?
Wow, that's a great first question. Where does my love of sports come from? Well, I guess I would just have to, I would guess going back to when I was really, really little, what I remember the most, and not to sound like very cliche or movie like answer, but what I remember the most is when I was a little kid in my household, the Mets or Yankees were on regular television. So like channels 9, channels 11, before all the cable networks had like 200 channels. So in my house, I fell in love with baseball right away. And then there was this guy on the Mets who I was more enamored with his name than probably his talent because I was so young at the time. And his name was Darryl Strawberry. So the name just struck to me as a little kid. Here's this person with like a fruit as a last
Yeah,
name.
yep.
I was probably just like pumped up and I'm like, that's my favorite player. And it just so happened that he had a really cool last name. And he, at the time, was one of the best players in baseball. So to answer your question, it definitely was Darryl Strawberry. It definitely was the New York Mets in the 80s. And I remember watching those games and saying to myself, there are grown-ups who get so excited and pay money to go watch these guys play baseball. And I love to play baseball too. So therefore, that's the job I want to have. And I think that's how the whole love of the game and the interest of wanting to see how good I can get and how long and how far I could get in the game probably stem from.
I love it, man. And I'm a very big Mets fan, so that
Yeah.
definitely
Awesome. Awesome.
we're gonna have a great conversation here.
Yes,
But
yes, yes, yes.
no, I mean same thing. I mean, what kid growing up didn't want to be a professional sport
Yep.
professional athlete in some way, shape, or form? For me, it was
Yep.
baseball as well. That was my first love, and I still love it to this day. Pitchers and catchers, less than a month
Yep.
away from as of recording, so
Yeah.
we're counting them down already. I think it's in the 20s already, which I'm super excited about. But
Yeah.
it's just there's something about baseball, man. I don't know what it is, and it's like
Yes.
I have a buddy of mine. He had a great analogy. He's like, it's a game of chess, and you can make the right move every time and still lose because nothing works out perfectly. You could throw that
Yes.
curveball to Mike Trout. on O2, but you could just hang it and he could crush it.
You're
So
absolutely
there's
right.
there's so many things about baseball like that where it's the game inside the game inside the game, which is my favorite part. So
Yep.
we'll see. I don't know. I'm excited, but Ray was a member of the Houston Astros farm system, and
Yes.
I'm sure a couple people have heard of that. The Houston Astros have come up recently in the news. I don't think you had anything to do with it, but if you
No, no,
did,
no.
that's a long play. It's a very
Yes.
long play if you had something to do with that. But
Yes.
so you played in three different minor league systems: the Pirates, the Astros, and the Mets. You made it to AAA. I know for the Mets, were you the AAA with the other? Did you make it to AAA with
No.
the others?
Basically, my career started. I played my college ball at Seton Hall University, very proudly Jersey guy, so very proud alum of Seton Hall University. Started my career with the Pittsburgh Pirates organization. I climbed the minor league ladder up to Double A with the Pirates. I also participated in Major League Spring Training. So I was in big league camp in the major league games. I actually had an opportunity to play against the Astros major league team in spring training, and I also had an opportunity to play against the New York Yankees about 3 or 4 days prior to opening day. It was really
Wow.
cool. Yeah, really cool to be on the same field in the same box score as Derek Jeter and those guys. And in that game, I actually had the opportunity to hit against Mariano Rivera
Ah,
to give you a little bit of a sense of how close I really was to getting to the big leagues. But to answer your story, a couple of years after that, I was traded from the Pittsburgh Pirates organization to Houston. I was with Houston for parts of 1 year where I was in Double A with them in Corpus Christi. And then the following year, I signed with the New York Mets, and that's where I was in Norfolk, playing for the Norfolk Tides, AAA for the New York Mets.
that's awesome. And so
Yeah, yeah,
well, first, do you have that box score framed with Derek Jeter and Mariano Rivera and all those
of
guys in it?
course.
Yeah.
Of
Okay.
course.
Cool.
Listen, I remember that day for a couple of reasons. Number one, even though it wasn't Pittsburgh Pirates versus the New York Yankees at Yankee Stadium per se, and it was a spring training game and not a regular season game, I just remember my whole career and finding myself in a big league stadium in spring training a few days away from opening day. To me will always be an accomplishment that 99.9% of little kids who ever wanted to play baseball will never be able to experience. And let alone because it was so close to opening day, we were playing the Yankees. Like those guys were really getting ready. The season was around the corner. And I had an opportunity to now hit against the one person who has been voted unanimously into the Hall of Fame. So
Mm-hmm.
yes, I have that box score. And ironically, I came into the game, I believe, in the sixth or seventh inning as a defensive replacement. And I got my at bat, of course, in the ninth inning against Mariano Rivera. But how the box score worked out, I was placed into the second hole of the lineup. So when you look at the box score, you see batting second, Derek Jeter. You see batting second for the Pittsburgh Pirates, Ray Navarrette. It's pretty dope. You mentioned earlier, I just became a father about 13 days ago. I'm brand spanking new dad, and I remember always saying to myself after that game, I said, "I'll always have that box score, and if I'm ever lucky enough to be a father, I'll be able to show my kids one day." So, yes, I have the box score. Yes, it's framed in multiple places, and I'm sure I'll be bragging about it to my children when they're old enough to understand.
You should brag about that to everybody always. I'm sure your children, you'll be able to explain that to them. But yeah, brag to everybody because you could brag
Yeah,
now. I mean,
yeah,
just go for it, man. I mean, like, hey, I've never played against Derek Jeter or Mariano Rivera. I mean, I'm a big Mets fan, not
yeah.
a huge Yankees fan, but I respect obviously
Yes,
everything
as well, as well.
that they've been able to do. And it's just one of those things where if I'm not watching the Mets, I am watching the Yankees. I'm just rooting against them. I'm
Yes,
here in New York or I'm here in the
great
New York
point.
area, so
Yes,
my mom growing up, I never understood it. It made no sense. We're all Mets fans, and
yeah,
whenever Mets would go to commercial, we'd switch to the Yankees. I was like, Mom, we hate the Yankees. Why are we watching them? She's like, Well, we want to see if they lose. And I was like, Oh,
yeah, great
okay, that's a
point.
good point. All right.
Yeah,
And plus,
yeah,
it's very frustrating being a Mets fan for so many reasons. But
yes,
watching a not just competent, but like a smart organization do the right thing continuously,
yes.
not only makes me envious, not only makes me jealous, but like I'm just thinking like, well, did I have to be a Mets fan? Like
No, absolutely right.
couldn't my mom have been a Yankee fan? That way I could see what success
Yeah,
is supposed to look like. But it's whatever. I would not change it for the world. I love the Mets. I
it
love
wouldn't
Jacob
be it
DeGrom.
wouldn't be as fun. It wouldn't be as fun. And
Exactly.
sorry to cut you off, but
No,
I
no,
do
no.
believe, listen, the Mets have had far fewer incredible moments, and of course the Yankees organization. And mind you, to the Mets' defense, the Yankees have also been around a lot longer. But I'm sure I speak for the 69 fans and even the 73 fans in the World Series in 86 and 2015 because they're so few and far between. I feel like it makes it that much more
Hmm.
memorable and that much more prideful for Mets fans. I think it's a lot more fun. And to be quite honest with you, I actually think that their future is extremely bright for many, many reasons. So this is a good time to be a Mets fan again.
Again, I would not trade it for the world.
Yeah,
It's just the frustration, I guess, that comes with it,
of
especially
course.
because my cousins are all Yankees fans,
Oh, yeah.
and I'm extremely close with them, so it's something
Yeah.
that we talk
My
about all the
my
time.
my family, my mom, my dad is a diehard Yankees fan. My sisters, my brother and I are Mets fans. My father-in-law, my wife's dad, is a diehard Yankees fan. So I feel your pain. There are some household moments where I put the Mets game on, and I feel the dirty looks that I didn't put the Yankee games on, but it is what it is, man.
Hey, man, it's your house, right? What are they gonna say?
You better believe it. Yep.
Exactly. That's funny though. But yeah, no, I am very grateful and I'm very excited for the future. I was at the one World Series game in 2015 that they won. So that was the coolest experience of my entire life.
Hold on a second. That means that you and I were at the game together.
No way.
I was there with one of my best friends. We were there as Mets fans, but also we were doing a ridiculous Digmi. I don't even know what to say, but it was like a Digmi marketing risk move. If you don't
Guerrilla
mind, I'll give you.
marketing.
Yes,
Guerrilla
I'll give you.
marketing's the
I'll
best
give you
marketing.
20 seconds. I'm sure you may have scrolled through our Instagram feed, or maybe you type in our Digmi in Google, and it may have popped up. That was the game Noah Syndergaard pitched, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
60 feet 6 inches. Meet me there.
Yes. So I had this crazy idea, and I'm sure we'll talk about my brand, but I had this crazy idea. We were trying so hard to get over the hump, trying so hard to get attention, and we're such a small brand. We don't have a lot of marketing dollars, whatever. So I said to myself, our biggest phrase is tip your cap. And I'm like, what if we came in there with the sign um, that would get us attention, but also give the Mets and Noah attention, right? And you're not allowed to solicit at games. You
Yeah.
can't put like www dot whatever.com on a sign. So what we did was we created this huge blue and orange, but it was orange with the blue font, amazing font, that said Noah, and the O was the Digme guy. And
Ah.
we strategically had people right behind the dugout. So the entire game, every time Noah Syndergaard walked off the field after he had another great inning, our guy would hold the sign up and it said Noah. The next morning, we saw it on ESPN, Sports Illustrated, ABC News. It was everywhere. And then the Mets showed that photo, not knowing it was us,
Hmm.
on their like Instagram and Twitter feed. So for us, it was a cool moment. We got a lot of like comments and tweets and emails like, we just saw the guy in the tie on a sign. So that was a really cool moment. And you were there. You didn't even know we were
Yep.
doing it. And we were
I
both in the
had
same place.
we were far away, standing room only.
Mm-hmm.
It was insane.
Mm-hmm.
David Wright hit a home run
Hit a
that
home
game,
run.
if I'm
Yeah,
not
yeah, yeah.
mistaken.
Yeah.
That was, tears in my eyes kind of situation.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm very grateful I got to go to the one they won.
Yes.
A friend of mine actually went to the game that they lost the World
Yeah.
Series
The
on,
next
which
day.
is
Yeah.
yeah, which is
Yeah.
awful. But it
Yeah.
was worth it. It was fun. It was incredible. That run was amazing,
Yes.
and yeah, I wouldn't trade it for the world. So
They're
uh,
gonna make a run. They're gonna make a run here in the next couple of years. I
we'll
have
see.
I have no doubts about it.
I'm very, very excited and
Yeah,
looking forward to it, but I
yeah.
won't have my hopes too high, Ray. I won't get my
I
hopes too
I
high.
get it. I get it. I get it.
But that is fantastic. So, you played in these three systems for a while. Hung out with the Mets for a little while. You also played for the Somerset Patriots, which again is about like 10. No, yeah, right.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you made a face though, so
I
I
did
was
make
like,
a face. I did
all
make a
right,
face.
all
Yes.
right.
Yeah.
Which is about 10 minutes from where I am now. Please
Yes.
explain the face.
Um, the face it's a funny face. So if anybody sees this, whether if they listen to the audio podcast or if you show the video at all, the face is funny for this reason. I have nothing but amazing things to say about the Patriots. First of all, unbelievable organization, run from top to bottom, from the owner, Mr. Califer, to the GM, Mr. McVeary. Incredible stadium, my favorite opposing place to play in my entire career. I was there for a very short period of time. And I guess my face is because it was one of the teams I couldn't break through in. So I got there and the team was stacked. I barely played. We won the championship that year, and I was the only player on the roster who did not play one inning, one at bat, one play in the postseason. The following offseason, I signed with the New York Mets, did all right for myself, and then I became a free agent again, and the Patriots had an opportunity to sign me first. My agent and I, we called them first, and they were stacked again, and they passed. And that's how I ended with the Long Island Ducks.
Hmm.
And the next 8 years, I played for Long Island Ducks, and I guess you can say the rest is history there, and the Ducks and the Patriots are the biggest of rivals in the Atlantic League. So I think it's kind of ironic that I'm a Jersey guy through and through, always will be. I did wear that uniform for a very short period of time, and they ended up being my greatest baseball rival of my career.
That is fantastic. Yeah, I mean, they were always stacked. So
Oh yeah.
I have an uncle who works for the team,
Okay.
Dave Merrick. I don't know if you ever
Oh
had
yeah,
the
yeah,
opportunity.
yeah, yeah.
Real nice guy, great
Yeah.
dude, real cool guy. And so we used to go to the games
Yeah.
constantly when I was younger. Because I mean, hey, you could get the tickets. It's like $10 a ticket.
Yeah.
For my parents, they don't want to drive all the way to City Field, or at that time
Yes.
Shea Stadium anyway,
Yep.
and pay all that money. So we'd go to these games constantly. It was the
Yep.
best, and yeah, they would just always win. Like they were just
Yes.
continuously winning. I think they actually won recently too, but I think it's
Yep.
great that obviously it didn't quite work out exactly how you could have hoped, but. Again, as you said, everything's history. You got to go to Long
Yep.
Island. You spent
Yep.
some time there. If I'm not mistaken, you own like practically every record in Long
Yeah.
Island Ducks record
Yeah.
book, which is
Yeah.
pretty darn cool. So, what is so? And I don't know the best way to ask this question, but we'll just kind of hash it out a little bit.
Yeah.
What is it like again going from the Mets organization,
Yeah.
obviously being a step away, like
Yeah.
very close to the majors, and then I don't know if I want to say swallowing your pride and signing with one
Yeah.
of these Atlantic League teams. I mean, I love them. You're still playing
Yeah.
professional baseball. I was at a
Yes.
game the other day. Andy Chavez and Josh Tolley were on the team. I was like,
100%.
what the
Yep.
heck's going on? Like Andy
Yep.
Chavez made the greatest catch in Mets history, right? Like
Yes.
what's going
Yes.
on? So
Yep.
like what is that like? I guess is it coming to terms? Is it swallowing your pride? Like how do you like again, I'm making it sound negative, but how did you like mentally say,
Yeah.
okay, this is my next step?
Well, first of all, it's a great question. Any person who's ever played in the Atlantic League or independent baseball, for that matter, who's probably ever done an interview, has probably been asked a question similar to this. I think the best way to answer it is the first part is it really is a misconception.
Hmm.
Really. And I'm not
Good.
just saying that because I was there for such a long time. You hear all like the potential negatives of what the independent league or Atlantic League is. For example, there's no major league affiliation, or you're not getting paid a ton of money, or you take buses to all the stadiums. Anyone who knows professional baseball knows those are all of the attributes and traits of minor league baseball. If you are under a major league organization, you really don't start making any real money until you're a major league baseball player. And even when you get to double A and triple A, maybe you're making, all right money, but you're not breaking the bank. Right.
Hmm.
So another thing that fans and people that haven't gone to the games and experienced that level of talent don't understand is there is not a big difference between double A and triple A level baseball and the Atlantic League. And I'll even go as far as to say, I'm not quite sure that there is a difference in the level of talent. The talent that you see at the Trenton Thunder, there's a good chance if you go to Somerset and you see a Patriots Long Island Ducks game, there's a good chance you're going to see the same talent, if not better. And the reason why is because, like to your point, you saw Andy Chavez and Josh Tolley. You're going to have guys with major league experience, with triple A experience, guys that are polished, guys that have been there before, guys that know what they're doing. Whereas if you go to a Lakewood Blue Claws game where I had an opportunity to play earlier in my career, yes, they're professional baseball players and extremely talented, but those are younger talented
Hmm.
players. They're still learning. They're not as polished. So I think there's a little bit of a misconception as to the talent level and the kind of baseball that the Atlantic League especially offers. And I was very grateful because if a league like that didn't start and exist, my career would have ended 8 years prior. So how I like to look at things is regardless if I was getting paid $3 million a year by the New York Mets or $3,000 a month by the Long Island Ducks, I had an opportunity to play professional baseball in front of thousands of fans every single night and continue to play a game that I love for a job. So extremely grateful for the Atlantic League, for teams like the Patriots and the Ducks. I think that league is very beneficial for Major League Baseball. They have found a lot of great talent out of that league. And not to bore you with such a long-winded answer, but most recently you see guys like Rich Hill,
Hmm.
who
Yep.
has been an incredible starter for the Dodgers. He was on the Long Island Ducks 4 seasons ago. Every year you hear of a story of a guy who started the year in the Atlantic League and either found his way to the major leagues or found his way back. So I wish fans could learn more about it. Part of me wishes the Atlantic League would do a better job of marketing the story and the level of talent more so fans would understand the kind of players and talent they have there.
Yeah, I mean, I love it. I mean, I don't go to, 15 or 20 games a year or
Yeah.
anything, but, we go to 3, 4, 5 games and, I always try and see a different opposing team because,
Yeah.
again, like I just showed up to a game last year and I was like, wait a second, Andy Chavez is here? Like, what's
Yes.
going on? Like, it was
Mhm.
just the coolest thing. So I do want to see, obviously the MLB players that kind of have phased out a little bit
Yep.
and now on the back end of their career. But as you said, I mean, like, there's talent there. Rich Hill has now
Yes.
broken the bank. So, good for
Yep.
him. Very well
Yep.
deserved. And I think it's awesome. I'm all for it. I'm always just curious how, being hyper competitive, being a
Yeah.
professional athlete, right? Like, yes, first off, you get to play a game and make money doing it. That's got to be
Yes.
the coolest thing in the world. But at the same time, knowing that you had the goal of making the MLB, you had a goal of,
Yeah.
all these things. And not saying that diverted you, because as you said, it's still a very high level of
Yeah.
competition and people still come out of there. There's still scouts at some of these games. It's
Yeah.
not like they're just totally off the map at that point, but it is obviously different than playing for an organization specifically.
Yeah, no doubt about it. There's a lot, there's pros and there's cons of it. The con, of course, is not being under the umbrella of a major league organization with the opportunity of getting promoted or demoted, those kind of things. But I'll tell you one of the other pros is, for example, um, when you play in the Atlantic League and you play for a team like the Patriots or the Ducks, you have an opportunity to showcase your talents every night, which give you the opportunity to extend your career in other places. For example, winter ball. A lot of prospects go play winter ball in the Caribbean countries. So you have an opportunity to play in front of Major League scouts and along with Major League players. A lot of players from the Atlantic League perform very well, and they get offered contracts in countries like Taiwan and Korea and Japan, all of which pay extremely, extremely well. I'll just give you another example. Because I played for the Long Island Ducks, I earned an opportunity to begin my winter ball career in Puerto Rico. If I didn't play in Long Island, I would never have played in Puerto Rico. I would have never have been teammates with guys like Yadier Molina, with Bernie Williams, with Ray Ordonez. I played with some of the best players in the world, and a lot of that happened in winter ball, all because I continued my career in the Atlantic League with the Long Island Ducks.
I think it's awesome. Like,
Yeah,
yeah, just that opportunity. I mean, you just name dropped some pretty cool people. So,
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
I'm all for it. Ray Ray. I mean, geez,
yeah.
I,
I was his
I
double play partner for
no way.
6 months. Like, that's what's so crazy to me. Like, you're a diehard Mets fan, right?
Yep.
So, like, I remember being in high school and like watching Ray Ordonez, this defensive wizard, and because the Atlantic League existed and because they had this concept of, creating a league that would allow players like myself to continue their career and possibly get back to the big leagues. Now I'm the second baseman and he's my shortstop, and I'm playing with and turning double plays with a guy that I used to like idolize on TV.
Hmm.
So, like I said, I wish ultimately the average fan that was at a bar or really loved Major League Baseball, I wish that they could either be educated or the Atlantic League would do just a little bit better of a job marketing their compelling story and the talent they have, because I think more fans would be very interested in going. And really quickly, to your point, it's a hell of a lot cheaper going to Somerset
Hmm.
Stadium for $10, free parking, and watching a great baseball game and driving back to your house in time to watch Baseball Tonight or MLB Network to catch the Yankee highlights, right?
Hmm.
So to a strength for that league, I think that's a great marketing ploy. Come watch our players play and fight their way back to the major leagues, save some money, and get home in time to watch the highlights.
Yep. And the games
Yeah.
aren't 4 hours long, which is also
No,
very, very nice. I
absolutely. Yes.
appreciate that. But
Yeah.
no, I mean, I love the Atlantic League. As I said, I've been going for a while. I remember, I don't remember exactly the day of the week, but it was sometime in the summer. And my mom was like, we have to, like, she got a phone call from my uncle and was like, you guys have to come right now. And she's like, why? What's going on? Jose Canseco's on the Newark Bears. You
Oh, yeah,
have to
yeah,
come
yeah.
right now. So we
Yeah.
just, whatever we were doing, my mom was babysitting at the time. So, like, I don't know, like 8 of us just show up to the stadium.
Yeah, it's
We
incredible.
see Jose Canseco. We're all like, hi. I'm too young to really understand
Yeah.
what's going on. But looking back at it, like, I got to meet him. I got to shake his hand. Like, maybe not the greatest person on planet Earth, but as a baseball player, he was incredible. Bash Brothers. Like, it's insane.
He's a legendary name forever. Absolutely. I mean, I just think about my time with the Ducks. I think, like, for example, the other 2 days ago, I was speaking with, or I sent him a message, my former teammate Dontrell Willis, who was a Rookie of the Year, World Series champion. He's now on
D-Train.
Fox with like A-Rod and the Big Hurt in the postseason. He was my teammate. I played with Edgardo Alfonso. I played for Buddy Harrelson. My manager was Gary Carter. Like, these are all people that are coming and going that I was teammates with. And not only were they my teammates, but I was able to hold my own and perform at their kind of level,
Mm-hmm.
which for me, I'll always be grateful for. And I think me having the opportunity to show that I can hang with some of those highly talented players is it's gonna help me as I keep transitioning into being an entrepreneur, into building a business. So I think the Atlantic League is just it's a great play, not only for the players, for the fans, for the ownership, and I have a feeling that they're going to continue to grow because there's going to be a need for leagues like that as minor league and Major League Baseball. The platform and their format is changing.
Yeah. That's some heady stuff. I don't know
Yep.
enough about it to
Yep.
really comment. Hopefully everything figures itself out. But yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
that I would not be surprised if a couple more Atlantic leagues pop up, or the leagues that are there start to expand, which would be really cool
Exactly.
too. So
Yes.
that would be
Yeah.
nice. A little extra structure rather than creating an entire league. Adding a
Yes.
couple of franchises would probably be a lot easier. And you brought it up, but you were Elgato Alfonso for a little bit as Ray Ordonez's double play partner, if
Yes.
I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken. And
Yes.
and yeah, as you said it, and I need to say it again, absolute wizard. I don't think he could swing a bat. I don't think I ever saw him get a hit, but like
Yeah.
as a defender, man, that guy was
Yeah.
nuts. But
He was
so with
good.
with your time in Long Island is
Yeah.
when you started to create this brand Digmi. Correct? Like that's when it kind of started to it was there, but it was
It
really
was
starting
there.
to click. And
Yes.
I understand like when you stopped is when you opened up your first shop, or while you were still playing is when you opened up your first
Um,
shop.
while I was still playing, but I kind of planned it with the idea that I knew that I was coming to an end.
Hmm.
I'll always remember some great advice that I was given, never stay too long at the dance.
Mm.
So I had I kind of took a look at where I was as an athlete, and I was very fortunate for my time in the Atlantic League, where I performed at a really high level. And some people thought that I was one of the better players there for quite some time. And I always remember saying to myself that um, I'm not going to stay and watch myself not be one of the best players in the league. So in 2012, I took the leap to open my own store, which is an entirely different backstory. But I took the chance, one of the biggest risks of my life, which turned out to be one of my greatest life challenges. But I did in 2012, knowing that in 2013, I was going to retire. So in 2013, I went into the season with the Ducks. I announced the fact that this was going to be it no matter what. And that was it. I opened the Digmi Nation, our first store that only carried Digmi in 2012, winter of 2012. So really going into 2013. And that's what really spearheaded the whole. It really is going to attempt to be a brand and a business rather than a glorified hobby. I did start the nickname back in 2003, and I think I made my first sketch or first logo in 2004, but I learned very quickly that you can't attempt to be Derek Jeter and Tommy Hilfiger at the same time. You just can't do it. I mean, it's almost impossible to build a business like Tommy Hilfiger if you're doing it every minute of the day. So I learned that the hard way for the first, 6, 7, 8 years. And then in 2012, I realized, baseball is going to come to an end. I think that if I dive into this full time, I have an opportunity to build something extremely special. And that's it. And we're still kind of right in the middle of trying to build something special.
Well, you're building. You're not trying. I know you're building
Yeah,
it,
yeah,
which is very
yeah,
exciting.
yeah.
So there's a couple things. One, I do want to understand, and I understand, but I want everyone listening to understand the logo, which is very important, and as everyone will see, it's very prominent, and really just what exactly is Digme? It's a fashion line, it's a
Yeah.
brand, but what is the differentiating factor for you guys?
Yeah, great question. So what is Digme? Well, first of all, I like to say Digme is a personality. Digme is the brand itself, we like to say, is a brand that acknowledges great performances and passionate personalities. So when I came up with the idea, I've always been into fashion. I've always been into clothes. And when we came up with our logo, which we call him the guy in the tie, just very quickly, I had the nickname. I came up with the different kind of version of the spelling, the font with the 2 stars on the eyes. And I'm like, well, we need a logo. And all the other fashion brands had animals. And I was really discouraged right away because I'm like, all the animals are taken. Like, what am I going to be? Like, did me the dinosaur? Like, I actually said that to myself. And you'd appreciate this. I was in Double A. I was playing in Double A with the Pirates. We're playing against the Bowie Bay Sox, Double A for the Orioles. And I had one of the worst games of my career. I was like 0 for 4, 3 strikeouts. And at the time, I hardly ever struck out. And I remember after my 4th at bat, my hitting coach came up to me. He tapped me on the behind, and he's like, "Hey, Ray, that guy's one of their best prospects. He throws 96, 97, hard slider. Sometimes you have to tip your cap." So that night I hustled back in the clubhouse, and I'm like, that's it. that's it. We're going to come up with a logo of a guy tipping his cap, because I've always been enamored with the era of when men wore suit and ties and top hats to baseball games. Guys would hit a home run, the fans would tip their cap. There was once a time when men were really gentlemen, and a pretty or attractive woman would walk down the street, and instead of them hollering or saying, inappropriate things to
Yeah,
her,
yep,
they
yep.
would tip their cap. So I said, this is it. We're going to have a logo of a guy tipping his cap, acknowledging great performances and people that have passionate personalities, people that want to chase their dreams. So that really is the backstory to our logo. Our brand is what I like to call a lifestyle brand. So we are not high-end fashion. We don't do suits and ties and dresses for women. What we do are we create a collection of t-shirts, sweatshirts, polo shirts, zip-up jackets, hooded sweatshirts. Basically, things that I would like to say is we're the type of clothing that you want to wear out socially. We're the type of clothing that you want to wear out when you want to get a little bit more comfortable. And what I've been saying recently is, we're the t-shirt or sweatshirt or jacket that you want to put on after you take off your suit and tie or dress clothes from work. We've been in stores like Bloomingdale's and Tilly's. Our hats have been in the hat store lids. So that's the kind of collection that we're offering. And then hopefully as, we grow and hopefully we have, a little bit more success, we'll offer a little bit more upscale products like, more fashionable polo PKs and button down shirts. But right now we're just trying to keep it simple because we still have a long way to go. Although I feel like we're building a really good foundation onto something that's going to be hopefully very big one day.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's super
Mm,
cool. I love how you explain,
mm.
exactly like, hey, like after you take off your suit, this is what you're going to want to
Yeah,
put
yeah,
on. It's
yeah,
very
yeah, yeah.
comfortable. It's fashion
Yeah.
forward, but at the same time, it's not too upscale. You can become, as you
Yes.
said, this is clothes you want to go out when you're trying to go out to dinner, have a drink with some friends. Like it's
100%.
super easy, but I love the tip your cap because yeah, that is a very much a baseball term, right? Like, or
Yeah,
it's at
yeah.
least a sports term. Like,
Sports
hey,
term.
he did great. Like, you got beat. Like,
Yes.
it's gonna happen, man. Tip your cap.
Yes.
It is what it is. So
Yeah.
I love how you guys, when you had that, you turned a really awful day into, a
A cool
potentially
idea.
life-changing day. Cool idea, exactly. So
Yes.
I think
Yes.
I think it's awesome, man. I love what you're doing, and that's exactly why I wanted to have you on. Obviously,
Yeah.
being
Thank you.
a former player, and with some of these incredible athletes as you've name dropped,
Yeah.
which is I would do that too. So I would tell
Yeah.
everybody that I play with
The
Yadier
thing is,
Molina.
yeah, what's crazy about that is I actually kind of try to take some pride in, not that I get on people that do, but in situations or conversations, interviews like this, sometimes you have to give a little bit more color or
Exactly.
back
Yeah.
story, right? If I said, hey, listen, my college roommate wore my first Digmi shirt at a bar, people would be like, oh, okay, that's cool. If I said that arguably the greatest defensive catcher in the history of baseball, Yadier Molina, wore that Digmi t-shirt on ESPN, everyone's like, really? So sometimes you have to, and this is, one of those times.
I would also call Yachty probably one of the best bat flippers ever after what
Oh
he did
God.
in the playoffs. That was insane. He just took it
Yeah.
and threw it into left field. I didn't get it, or right
Yeah.
field, I'm sorry, but I didn't get it and I loved it and I thought it was hysterical. I watched that
one
on
of
loop
one
for
of
a while.
one of the most intense people, but awesome people I've ever had the opportunity of playing with, and honestly, one of the nicest. Like, I try to be respectful with some of my former teammates, where, most people probably would call them and say, "Can you do me a favor and wear this?" And sometimes I don't talk to these guys for 3, 4, 6 months at a clip, maybe longer. But he's the kind of guy, like if I send him a message, like he'd get back to me and treat me as if I was the batting third for the Cardinals. Like he's just, I can't say enough about him. He's such a good dude.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's good to hear. He's always
Yeah.
seemed like a pretty cool dude. Cardinals. I've never been a huge fan of the Cardinals, mostly because Carlos Beltran forgot to swing. But I mean,
Yes, yes,
what
yes.
other than that, it is what it
Yeah,
is.
yeah,
But no, I just love what you're doing, man. Obviously, your story is incredible. So what you kind of you explained it a little bit, but like what is how? I mean, you said Bloomingdale's also, by the
yeah.
way. Let's you kind of snuck that in there a little bit, but like clearly you guys are doing some stuff. So
Yeah,
what is the next, like, what are the next few steps that you guys have to take to really bring this out to, is it more of a regional brand right now? Is it more of a
yeah,
sport specific brand? What is it currently and how do you kind of get it out of that bubble so more and more people
yeah.
can really start to enjoy it?
That's a great question. I think you're probably going to be a little bit surprised with some of my answers. Well, first of all, we are definitely still a regional brand. So, when I drop a retailer like Bloomingdale's and I say lids and I say Tilly's, you and other people are like, holy cow, like Ray must be just absolutely killing it. Those are great accomplishments, don't get me wrong, and they'll forever be on our resume, and it gives us a sense of credibility for meetings and presentations. But we are still extremely small. We are a regional brand right now, and we're trying to get over the hump and become a national brand. One of our biggest challenges right now is how can we market better? I'm sure whether you've talked to some of your guests or even you for that matter, I've been following you on LinkedIn and you're putting out great content. The challenge for all of us that are trying to grow anything, whether it's a podcast show, a business, or a brand, is how do we get more eyeballs to see it, right? More eyeballs mean more people are going to have opinions. That means more people may not like it, but on the reverse, it means more people will.
Hmm.
So for us, our biggest challenge, still being a small brand, still being a brand that has limited marketing dollars, is how can we market better? How can we get our most bang for the buck? How can we get in front of more people to see it? Because the one strength that I truly believe that we have, we make polo shirts and t-shirts and hats. Do I believe that ours are the best out there? Of course. But whoever else has the best polo shirt is tied with us, or we're tied with them, right? We're not curing a disease. We're not doing something like crazy. The polo and t-shirt have been around for ages. What we have to do is tell our story. And our biggest difficulty right now has been doing that. Going back to what I mentioned about, you trying to grow your show or get people to see you on your social media platforms, we are too. And I'm trying very hard to build a community, to attract more genuine followers, getting more people to engage with us. It's been extremely challenging because I'm sure you felt this way about maybe people you look up to. I look at other brands and I'm like, how in the world do they have 500,000 followers, or how in the world do they do X amount of sales? When you look at what you're doing, and I never say that we're better than any other brand, but when I admire someone else's work, I say, well, I think we're just as good, or I think we're deserving. We can be in that conversation, but why are they so far ahead of us? So, long-winded answer again is that's our biggest challenge. We're a regional brand with a goal to be a national brand, and we're looking to market better. We're looking to earn more eyeballs and earn more support. And I think when we solve that problem, whether it's tomorrow or in another 10 years, I think that's when you're going to see Digmi go from small, cool brand that is local in the Jersey, New York area to possibly a national or international brand.
Definitely an
Yeah.
international or national brand.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
what we're
That's the
expecting.
goal.
That's
Yes.
the goal, man. And I love it.
Yeah.
And again, it's high quality stuff. The man in the
Yeah.
hat, with the tie.
Yeah.
What is it? It's the man in the
We call it the hashtag on social media. We use the guy in the tie.
guy in the
Um,
tie.
our three biggest hashtags, of course, the first one is Live Dream Be. So Live Dream Be stands for live your dream, be yourself. We're very, of course, I kind of wrote that in short of something that was much longer at the time. But I think it's simple and straight to the point. And I'm a big believer. It's kind of like how I live my life a little bit is, I believe that if you are living your dream, so whatever your dream is, it seems like you're doing it through this
Yeah,
kind of
I just want to
content.
do this for the rest of my life. So
Yeah.
that's cool. Like I'd be
And I'm
happy with
actually,
that.
I'm actually falling in love with putting out content as well too. But I truly believe this. If you or me or anyone else there, if you wake up every day and you're actually living your dream, then that's what it's all about. And then my only caveat or tip for that person, me or anyone else, is live your dream, but make sure you be yourself along the way. Try not, for me, I can't try to be Tommy Hilfiger or Calvin Klein, or, when I tried to play like Darryl Strawberry and I wasn't tall and lefty and a power hitter, it doesn't work, right? So for us, live, dream, be is our number one mantra. I guess you would say that's our Nike Just Do It. And then our other two big ones, of course, are tip your cap, because that is really the backstory behind our logo. And then we came up with the guy in the tie, because people say, who is it? People ask me all the time, Ray, is the silhouette of the guy tipping his cap, is it you? And I would always say, well, I came up with them, but it's not just me. It's anybody out there willing to chase their dreams and look good while doing it. So those are the big three: live, dream, be, tip your cap, the guy in the tie.
Let's rock with it, man. Awesome.
Yeah.
Ray, this was absolutely fantastic. I mean, that's about all I got. Is there any other life nuggets you want to drop to some people? Because you've given us some good ones so far.
Oh, well, I appreciate it. I mean, first of all, I want to say I love what you're doing. You know what's so funny? We met, I would say, I think probably roughly a year ago, maybe, or a
Yeah,
little less than a
like
year ago.
March-ish,
Yeah,
I
it's
think,
March, right?
last year or something like that.
And it's so cool. I guess one of the things I would pass along to people that may listen to this is um, really get out there and network. I had an opportunity of doing something where I met someone and she introduced me to you. And here we are almost a year later. and we're doing something really cool on your side of your content. So I would just recommend people to keep going out there. I think one of my biggest, I hate using the word regret, but I think one of the biggest mistakes that I've made, and I'm realizing this now, is a lot of people see me and they're like, oh, wow, Ray's always, so smiley or positive, or, he's not shy in front of a camera, all of which is true. But for a long time, I wouldn't really put myself out there. And now looking back, I'm like, wow, if I would have just kept up with the blog I started in 2012, or if I would have hit record on my iPhone 6 years ago with some of the ideas I had, I wouldn't be trying so hard to catch up now, whether it's doing, video content every day or writing a blog article each week. So I would just tell people, listen, go out there, meet people, shake hands, share their story, and don't be afraid of putting stuff out there, because at the end of the day, the people that aren't interested aren't going to watch anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And the people that are interested are going to watch because they feel a need to hear your story. So I feel really compelled to tell people now not to be so shy and just to go out there and share their story. Someone out there wants to listen. And then one other thing I want to say to you is, I hope that we can continue this conversation maybe somewhere down the road in the near future on my side of my podcast.
I'd love it.
Because right now for me, even though I'm getting older and I still feel super young, I'm trying really hard to learn how to get better at creating content, but also how to share it. Like this whole Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn thing for me, I enjoy doing these kind of things, but I'm not quite sure that I'm sharing it or producing it or editing it correctly. So I feel like I have a lot to learn. So, maybe on another conversation, you can pass along some tips to me.
I would love to, and I'll leave some of it here, especially if you have guests. I mean, it's about
Yeah.
getting them to share the content, right? Because I'm going to ask you to share this because people
100%.
are interested in your story, and that way they can
Yeah.
learn a little bit more about who you are, who's Ray, what is Digmi, and how does this work. So there's that side of it, and of course, some of those people will like, hey, that's pretty cool. Let me check out some of the
Yeah.
other ones. That's like the goal
Yep.
with having you share it. But at the same time, I mean, it's you're familiar with Tim Ferriss?
Of course. Of
Okay. Yep.
course.
Love Tim Ferriss. I don't remember if it was a podcast or whatever the heck I was listening to, but he said something that totally resonated with me. He's like, all right, so there's how many millions of people, billions of people on planet Earth? You don't need a billion people to be successful. I mean, you
Absolutely
really
right.
only need a couple 100,000, and like you can move mountains at that point.
Yes.
Let's call it a million though. Do you think there are a million people on planet Earth that are interested in the same types of content that you're interested in?
No doubt.
The answer is yes. So
Yes. No doubt.
don't cry, as you were saying. Be yourself. Don't create something that you think people would want to see or hear or feel. Just create what you want to see, feel, or hear, and just put that out, because there's enough people out there that are going to be interested in the same types of things you are. I'm interested in longer form content where I have a really great conversation with somebody.
Yeah.
Done. All right, I'll just do that a lot. Obviously put it out. I'm actually hiring a guy to clip all this down. I mean, I don't make any money on this, but I want to be very successful at it. So I'm going to hire some
Yeah.
guy, clip it down, put some stuff out all across all the social medias, give you some stuff so you can share some of the great
Yeah.
nuggets that you
Absolutely.
dropped as well. And yeah, it'll cost a couple bucks, but if, in a couple
Long
years,
term.
I'm the other Joe Rogan. I mean, shit, man, I'm not too
Yeah.
angry about that, right?
You're absolutely right. And and just real quick, because I know you got to run, but a couple of things.
No, you're good.
If you shoot, to be the next Joe Rogan, and let's say you miss by a little bit,
Oh
that's not
no.
going to have
Oh,
a bad, you're not going to have a bad gig, right? And
exactly.
people have said to me all the time, Ray, you tried to be so hard, to reach the level of Derek Jeter. And I say, yeah, I came up a little short, but look at 14-year career. And now we're trying to build a brand. And, one of my idols is Ralph Lauren. Chances are I'm not going to be Ralph Lauren, or Digme's not going to be Polo. But what if we built something that kind of got in a conversation? That would be pretty cool, So that's another little tidbit that I would pass to people is, don't be afraid to dream big and chase big, because if you come up short, you're still going to get a big piece of the pie.
Mm-hmm.
And, I think that's really what it's all about. I'm going to put you on the spot real quick. I have one quick
Awesome.
question, because I know you're younger than me. In regards to creating content like this, do you think that there's ever a limit or age as to when people have missed the boat? Like I've been diving in and people are like, Ray, you should have been doing this years ago. And I've been getting caught up in, man, did I miss the boat? Am I too old to be doing my own podcast show? Did I miss the boat? Or is anyone going to listen to me now if I put out daily content like I'm trying? And I know
No.
what the real answer is.
The answer is no. Yeah.
There's something inside of me that's like, oh man, I hope I'm not too old to do it.
No, I mean, like, again, you have a cool story. Like,
Yeah.
people, they're really old people that are putting out, that just started putting out content and are
And
extremely
killing it.
successful at it,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
you're not that old. I mean,
Yeah,
shoot,
no, no,
what are
no,
you,
no.
like, 65, 7?
No, thank you. I look good for
Gotcha.
that age.
Yeah, you look really good. But I mean, no, like and I don't, to be frank and not mean, like that's ridiculous. I mean, just think like if you had some of these players, the baseball players that you've been friends with for a very long time on your show, I can
Yep.
guarantee you people are going to watch. Like it doesn't
Oh yeah,
matter.
no
It's
doubt.
kind of cool that you're there. So, I mean, if you
Yes.
haven't sent a text message to every single person in your phone that you played baseball with, asking them to, hey, you want to chat for 15 minutes?
Yeah.
Who's some of them are going to say yes, some of them are going to say no, and that's
Wow.
really how you're going to, I think, explode your
Yeah.
brand. You're going to explode your personal brand.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, hey, if you could get Jake for 5 minutes,
Oof.
hey
You'd be
man,
surprised.
two-time reigning Cy Young back to back,
Yeah.
maybe three-time. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I think that'd be
Yeah.
pretty cool. I think it
It
would
is,
work too.
and I'm going to be working on that in 2020. I've been pounding out some content. Um, I'm just not the most technical savvy guy, but I'm getting over that fear. Like even if you suck at something, like that's what held me back many times in the last few years. Like I'm not good with the camera. I'm not good with the iPhone, so therefore I'm not going to do it. But through a lot of content that I've been reading and listening to, people are reinforcing the idea. Who cares if it stinks? Like just put it out there. You're only going to get better with
Yeah.
more work. So you'll be seeing some interviews with some of these players. Hopefully in 2020, we got a couple of guys on board with spring training around the corner. So
Ooh.
I'm sure you'll be interested to follow.
Yes. Why not go down to spring training?
We always do that.
Yeah.
We always do
Right.
that, and we're actually growing our team. We just got a couple of new people joining our Digmi team. A couple of guys, that are Mets fans, a couple of guys that are Yankee fans. They're gonna head down to spring training and create some cool content. So you got to be sure to keep following us.
Dude, I do. Every
Yes.
day I
Yes.
see some of your stuff. And I would say the only thing is with, so I was in Arizona during spring training, and that was incredible because
Never been. I hear it's amazing.
the
Yeah.
stadiums are like 25 minutes apart from each other. It's not like
Amazing.
you go down to, the Florida leagues and it's just like, oh, it's like, hey, 2.5 hour bus
Yeah.
ride.
Yeah.
Like, no, Arizona was incredible. It's just a hop, skip, and a jump. And now,
Yeah.
granted, the tickets are like $50 for like Giants games and everything, which was
Oh
crazy,
wow.
but
Yeah.
still very worth it. And it's a crazy
Yeah.
place. So that's awesome, man. Good for you
Yeah,
guys.
absolutely, absolutely. So, definitely, I'll let you go. I would just want to say thank you so much for the opportunity. This was
Yeah.
awesome. So, like I said, I'll definitely follow up, or we can schedule you to come on my show. But please follow up today. Let me know your shirt size, and I'll have the guy in the tie send you a thank you.
Extra medium. How's that sound?
That sounds like a size that we should start making. Extra medium.
There you go. No, man, this was absolutely fantastic. One more time, Ray Digmi, Navarrete, cool guy, baseball player, knows some of my favorites, so I'm very jealous. But Ray, thank you so much, man. I appreciate your time.
Oh, anytime, man. Thanks so much. Have a good one.